What's going on, guys? It's Ryan here, and welcome to the second video for the Overwatch League 2021 playoffs. This video, we're going to be breaking down the second seed team, the Dallas Fuel, taking on the Washington Justice. So again, this was another pick from the Dallas Fuel. Um, Kind of in the same vein as our last video, this kind of it wasn't exactly a revenge pick, this was more just an ego pick in the sense that Dallas wanted to shit on Washington some more. And obviously, as we know, going into this, Washington are pretty much the bottom seed. They're the team that everybody's expecting to go out right away. And Dallas is here to hand them their first loss. As Sparkle put it, they want to murder them.
Yeah.
So, um, going over, since you know how this works, I'll explain it again. Going in straight into talking about the rosters. Looking at this from the Dallas Fuel angle, there is a lot here that they can work with in terms of who they play. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same starting six, but maybe they might experiment with Pine for maybe a map. But I can see them starting with Doha Sparkle for the entirety of however long they're in the playoffs. But specifically looking at this Justice roster, I'm gonna let you did it last time, I'm gonna let you do it again. What do you spot here that you think they're going to try and take advantage of?
I think the thing that Dallas really is going to try and take advantage of pretty clearly is whoever has been carrying Washington. If you can shut down that carry, Washington falls apart pretty quickly. Right now, it seems like it's Mag. So if they just focus Mag and force him off the Reinhardt, because we know that Washington wants to play a Ryan comp, that's something that they've been very comfortable with. That is their comfort pick at this point. So if you force them off that Ryan comp, you kind of have free range. And it's not unlike Dallas to be able to play something like Sombra Tracer to bully a Reinhardt. It's not unlike Dallas to play Symmetra to charge Beam. You can really just take any comp that Dallas plays, put it up 1-to-1 with Washington, and Washington kind of gets diffed on every role. Because if Decay's not playing well, you can bully him into being a non-factor. If you take Mag and basically remove him completely, their carry is gone. Assassin has looked hot and cold all season. Fury is Fury at this point. That's how I see it. And then Closer, whether they're running Closer and well, I guess they can only really run Closer and Bebe looking at their roster, but Closer and Bebe, if they don't have a good game, you can kind of just take the rest of the team and throw them around like they're rag dolls. So I think the thing that Dallas really wanted to hit on is that Washington is the lowest seed and they wanted the easiest time going through.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be getting that first win to get into the winners bracket right away, because nobody wants to go through that entire losers bracket from round one. Especially going under the pressure, say, okay, we lose this match, we're out. You don't want to be doing that the second day that you're at the playoffs. And just to brush up on something that you're going over, Tuba is their third support. He kind of flexes between DPS and support. He's brought in to be their break specialist, who has
Right.
basically only played once against London, and that's it. But yeah, Closer and Baby are pretty much the Washington starting duo on support. And I think mainly the shutdown they need here is shutting down Closer, whether he's playing Lucio or whatever main support you've got him on. If you can shut him down as well, then well, they're not going to be getting much healing. And obviously, as you said, they are very much a carry team, and whether it's Decay, whether it's Mag, as long as you shut them down, you're good. And Dallas, I mean, they've been the team that basically have run. They haven't run meta all season until Shanghai forced them to. They've basically been the team that defined the meta with their own comps. I think that they could more than stand up to Washington on the Reinhardt picks, because as you know, Fearless is pretty much he is the number one Reinhardt if you go off of stats, which we'll go over a little bit later. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, going up, you go Fury against. Hanbin is the number one off tank. He is an MVP candidate because he is one of the best off tanks in the league, if not the best. So
Mhm.
it is very much a mismatch of talent here, and on paper it shouldn't be in terms of these two rosters. If you just look at them purely off roster, if you don't look at how they've done in the season, this should be a lot closer game than it's leading us on to being now. But obviously we've seen that even though you've built an all-star team, they don't. If you don't have the team chemistry, then not going to get you anywhere, and that's what's shown the Washington Justice owners, their coaching staff, the entire season. That just because they've got Overwatch League winners on this team, just because they've got carry people like Decay, who has been known to carry on multiple teams throughout the Overwatch League, this doesn't mean it's going to get you a guaranteed playoff win.
Mhm.
There is something to be said here about how Mag has come in. This is his rookie year, and he has come in and carried these legacy players, so to speak. Whether or not he can do that again against Dallas again, I don't think so. Um, just looking at the matchup between Fearless and Mag, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure 9 times out of 10 Fearless will win that battle. So pivoting over and just briefly covering when these two teams have played each other last. The first time that they actually came up against each other was in week one. Sorry, week two of the May
Yeah.
Melee. So the first 2 weeks of the season where Dallas pretty much they went 2-2 at the May Melee. They were still figuring out how they wanted to play until they actually came alive in the tournament itself. But they did get a 3-1 win. It was not a one-sided 3-1 at all. I think the only map
Mhm.
that Washington really dominated on was Ilios, and then it was a pretty close affair for all of it. I mean, taking them to 5 points on watch point for the win, that was the one map Dallas did win. But going over and looking at the Summer Showdown one, I think this is more of an accurate display of what we probably are going to get. Maybe with a little bit of less Washington map wins. I can see them taking a map. I don't think they'll take 2 maps like they did here in the Summer Showdown. Obviously, the Summer Showdown, like the playoffs, it didn't have any restrictions.
Mhm.
So maybe that's a factor. Maybe now that Washington aren't restricted on what they can play, maybe they open up a bit and it lets them play on more of their comfort roles. Because most of these games, unless it's cross regional, these teams are going to be coming out on their comfort picks because they've played each other before and they know what each other are going to run. And obviously Dallas, it'll be the Winston dive with maybe the Symmetra rush or the Lucio Anna Winston dive with Diva. I mean, they've got so many different comps and they can come out on. And I think the only comp that Washington have ever really looked good on is the Brody Reinhardt comp. Their bull, oh god, if they play bull, I honestly think it's game over for Washington. I don't think the bull comp is going to get them anywhere. Um, so it's really going to come down to can Dallas exploit this not the bull comp, sorry, this Reinhardt comp that they have been not strong on, but they have been pretty decent on all season. And if Dallas are able to do that, I think this is going to be a pretty one-sided affair. And judging by if you take aside, obviously yes, they are 1-1, but judging by the past and how Dallas have performed, yes, there is the argument there that Dallas could shit the bed come playoff time because they have been slowly pivoting down each stage, whether it be
Mhm.
second place going down to third place and then not qualifying. So yes, we'll say there could be an upset, but it's Washington, and it's very unlikely, but there is the potential there at any point that Washington could show up and surprise Dallas and send them down to a
It's
lower bracket run. But
it's almost impossible
yeah, it's such a slim
to me.
chance to happen. But with that now, how these teams match up? This is again a bit of a mismatch. I believe in terms of let's quickly get this. In terms of like the team rankings, yeah, it's first against several. There is a bit of a bigger gap between
Mhm.
these two teams than Shock and Shanghai. I
Just a
mean,
little bit.
And that's obviously because, I mean, I never really understood how Dallas stayed on top all this time. With obviously they were doing well, but they won one stage and
I
they've stayed on top the entire season. So go on.
I think it's just because they make like not even just finals, but they make like winners semis almost every stage. They make winners quarters. They're not unaccustomed to being near the top of every tournament at this point. So I think that leads into them having a little bit more points than a lot of these other teams because Shanghai, obviously, I mean, they've made it far, but they don't make it in like winners every time they make it, and especially the first couple of tournaments where they actually lost, they barely even made it into either finals or winners side of the bracket at all. So that could be the factor, but I mean, it's not like Dallas isn't dominant, and they haven't, and they've definitely shown that every cycle, and just adding Pine and adding everybody else, well, really just Pine, but adding on to that roster has helped them a lot, even though we haven't seen much of the new addition yet.
Yeah, I mean, having that hit scan that you can play, even though we're not exactly in the hit scan meta, but just having that option, so say they're under pressure and one map they need to bring in a hit scan, maybe Sparkle's Soldier 76 isn't working for what they need. Bring that option, having that option to be able to bring in that hit scan specialist, which we know was dragged Dallas down in terms of their perception, their public perception throughout the entirety of the main melee, no matter where you went, no matter what Overwatch stream you watched, it was all Dallas don't have a hit scan. That means they're going to do bad. And then obviously we all know what happened. They went and proved everybody wrong, winning without a hit scan. But having the option there is always better than not having it there. So I think there is potential for Pine to play if they're under pressure from a team that needs the wings clipped, and so to speak. I think if they come up against a team like Shock or Shanghai, who are known to run these aerial characters, then I think maybe we'll see the hit scan then from Pine. This match specifically, I don't think we'll see much of him purely because I see Washington coming out on Tracer Sombra. It's what they've
Yeah.
done pretty much every single game, it's what they know.
Hmm.
So, I think this will be Tracer Sombra, a Tracer Sombra off, or it will be Farah and Sombra or whatever Dallas want to run, but it's usually someone around Pharah, Reaper, Pharah, Sombra, Tracer, Sombra. That's usually what Dallas tend to stick to, whereas Washington, you tend to see them really only come out on that one comp, and sometimes they'll experiment with running Wrecking Ball, but mostly their DPS is Tracer Sombra, which is
Yeah.
something that, again, Dallas can exploit, because if they're known to come out on this one comp, and Dallas haven't, not Dallas, sorry, if Washington haven't practiced anything else, then they can exploit that. They can counter comp them. There are so many different counters out there that you can run for Tracer. I mean, hell, you can run Brig if you wanted to counter Tracer. You can run even Sombra. The Shield Bash can get in there. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can get around what Washington are comfortable on to then grind out that win. And
Hmm.
eventually, I mean, I think it's pretty set in stone that at this point Dallas are going to at least make it into one round into the winners bracket, and then Washington will go straight down. But again, like we said, it's the playoffs; anything can happen. But yeah, I think that is pretty much everything we need to cover on this map, on this stream. We can quickly go over some of the player rankings, but again, like the team
It,
rankings, these are pretty spread out on how in terms of how far apart they are.
it's really just, I mean, it's really just Mag
It is.
that's even ranked for Washington, I think. And even then, not Fielder, sorry. Um, even then, uh,
They're,
like
I mean,
Hanbin and Fearless are both above him.
I mean,
So I don't really know.
it's hard to. I mean, Decay is also ranked for
Well,
Decay and
I guess
Assassin are like
Fury is ranked, but even then,
there is such a gulf in where these
yeah,
people are appearing. I think the closest we have here is Decay is like he's right behind Doha. The Doha's fourth in the DPS rankings. Decay is
and then
seventh,
Decay 7th.
and then Sparkle's second, and then you got Assassin who then appears in 15th.
But that's
It's
about it.
that's about the only way they're matching up. I mean, if you look at these support rankings, I mean, Bebe is the first one that pops up at 14th for Washington, whereas Felder has obviously been cemented himself in the top two for support. So
And
yeah, Jax is 7th.
GX is 7th. There's a gap. I mean, maybe that gap can be closed because we've seen Washington play out of their minds, not only, coming back and beating Houston, but also they had a really good stage, that first stage. But at this point, that just seems like a blip in the system, like it wasn't meant to happen that way.
Yeah, and I think that is a testament to how this Washington team season has gone. They came in with such high expectations on them, and I think those high expectations has ultimately led them to crash and burn. And I think this is something that, I mean, they say on the stream that scrim bucks don't mean anything. This Washington team has such high scrim bucks coming into the season, and just for a quick, it's not really a technical term, but just quick explain this. It's basically how they perform in their practice games against tier two teams, being contenders teams or other Overwatch League teams. Washington had a pretty good showing whenever they played in non-season games, but like if you can't do it when the cameras are on, when everybody's watching, then why are you really competing at that point? You need to be able to perform at that level, and Washington have the players that have been doing it at this level since inaugural season. Decay has been here for so long.
Mhm.
Yes, they have Mac who is a rookie, but there are a load of experience. There's a lot of experience around him who just aren't putting in the work and showing why they are so highly ranked in the Overwatch League Hall of Fame, so to speak. Um, and I think there's something to say about the Washington coaching team that they've not been able to get this team out of this boomage that they've been in for quite a while. Um, Something needs to happen at Washington, and maybe they'll prove us wrong in this match. Maybe they will come out and they will be dominant. But right now, as far as we can see, there's nothing that really suggests that they're going to come out and they're going to be dominant. So like we said in the Fred's
Mhm.
video, this seems like a pretty straightforward win for Dallas, and that's why they picked it.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's pretty much cut and dry that this is Dallas's, you know, Dallas's choice because they want to get off on the right foot here in playoffs and want to show that they can still dominate, even though they haven't played in a while.
Yeah. I think it's essentially the reverse of what Shanghai have done, because both of these teams are obviously coming off of a cycle saying, oh, we're going to be resting players, because obviously both of these teams had their playoff spots locked up well in advance. So it's kind of them saying, yeah, we can still go. Look, we're gonna slap this team around for about an hour and a half, and we're gonna get going again, and we're gonna show you how dominant we can be. It's just whether or not they do that or not. So
Hmm.
that is going to wrap up our coverage for the Washington against Dallas game. Who do you think is going to win this game? Do let us know in the comment section below. As you know, there will be more videos coming out over the weekend for the Philadelphia Fusion and the Atlanta game. Look out for those on the channel.
Hmm.
As always, subscribe if you're new, like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
See